Yo, buenas noches, ladies and gentlemen. Bienvenidos a Ritmos Y Soul here live and direct from the Ritmo Room at the MCAC Studios. Yo, soy yo, MC Lex, con ustedes, junto a my lovely co-host, the wonderful, la única, Miss Sylvia Poindexter. Sylvia, how are you doing today?
Yeah, doing perfect. Saluditos a todos los que nos escuchan en casita, en sus carritos. Saluditos a todos. Muy contenta de saludarlos esta semana. Y bueno, aquí con un super mega invitado.
Yes, we
esta
have a
noche.
good friend and a very talented individual that's joining us in our studios today. I'm glad to have this opportunity to share this space con él. Más que the one and only Sage, ladies and gentlemen. Sage, bienvenido, brother. Welcome.
Muchísimas gracias por la invitación, Lex. Igual, Cindy, muchísimas gracias por invitarme. Feliz de la vida de estar con ustedes.
Cool, man. Thank you for being here once again. I know you're a busy man y tienes muchas cosas que haces en tu día rutinario, so it's difficult to coordinate, pero aquí estamos. Cosas de Dios nos pudo juntar y poder compartir ese tiempo.
Amen to that.
Para los que están en sintonía por primera vez, that are joining us in this Spanglish show, we throughout the whole program, if you speak Spanish, you speak English, we try to mix it up because sabemos that there's people out there que no hablan English muy bueno y el español no good looking, you know, so we try to be able to make it as comfortable as possible for all those out there that want to kind of get a little taste of both worlds. So, and besides, if you don't have the ability to be bilingual, you have certain limitations in esta sociedad, especialmente aquí en este país de los Estados Unidos, you know. Even though we go worldwide, somos mundial, internacional por medio de las redes, pero el tener ese conocimiento de hablar en dos idiomas es un pro definitivamente. Si hablas 3, 4, yo hablo como 5, pero algunos no son permitidos hablar en el aire del programa.
Aire, sí.
Pero
te censuramos.
Yes, that's when the New Yorkers don't get me upset porque si no empieza a salir otro rollo.
Empieza a salir otro idioma.
Pero para que nos conocen, el propósito de nuestro programa es to bring a little light, a little love, a whole lot of good vibes in this crazy world that we're living. And en el día de hoy, nuestro tema, ¿cuál es el tema de hoy? We always like to touch something important, but tonight we're touching lo que es el
poder in living new experiences.
Yes, viviendo nuevas experiencias, lo que es el poder en tener esa oportunidad, que hay mucha gente que se limita, ¿no? They kind of say, you know what, this is my life, I'm gonna settle here and this is my comfort zone. Pero se puede decir, muchachos, que somos de lo poquito o lo mucho que conozco de ustedes, somos personas que estamos constantemente modificando, cambiando para crecer, ¿no? Porque
claro
si no somos de quedarnos en el mismo lugar, estancados, viendo, bueno, this is my life. No.
Claro.
You should say, this is my life and I'm just getting started.
There you go.
Even if you've accomplished todas las cosas que hemos logrado hacer en los tiempos que Dios nos ha dado esa oportunidad de hacer, pero aquí estamos, like, let's constantly flip pages.
Claro
and
que
write
sí.
more stuff in this book that we call life, no?
I love
Abiertos a nuevas experiencias. Siempre.
So, conozcamos un poquito más de nuestro invitado, right?
Claro que sí.
So,
Queremos
Sage,
conocer más de ti, Sage. Más bien todo de ti. Cuéntame, ¿dónde naciste? ¿Cuándo empezaste a cantar?
Vamos.
Y bueno, cuéntanos eso.
Empezamos por ahí.
¿Dónde naciste?
Gracias.
¿De dónde eres?
Bueno, mi familia, nosotros somos de Ecuador, de Quito, Ecuador, de la bella ciudad de Quito, y es una ciudad muy, muy interesante porque tiene tantas culturas, ¿no? Obviamente, como es una metrópolis, tienes muchas influencias de diferentes partes, de diferentes culturas, de diferentes religiones, y pues fue muy bonito crecer allá. Nosotros vivimos ahí, bueno, yo viví ahí hasta mis 13 años. Y ya, bueno, lo bonito de eso fue que ya cuando tienes 13 años viviendo en un lugar, obviamente en esa edad, tienes bien cementado el español. Y yo pienso que eso fue una bendición para continuar la siguiente fase, cambiando ya, evolucionando como persona y aprendiendo otras lenguas para tenerlo bien solidificado. Y yo creo que por eso fue la razón por la cual cuando ya me decidí a hacer la música, lo cual platicaremos, es que me decidí a hacerlo en español.
Perfecto.
Súper.
Entonces ya después me habías mencionado, ¿no? Cuando ya empecé esto de la música, ¿no? Sí. Había una muchacha, ¿no? Siempre
hay una inspiración. Siempre hay una inspiración.
Siempre hay una inspiración. Cada
Dios las bendiga de esas mujeres que nos inspiran.
Como dice Arjona, ¿no? Mujeres. Pero yo creo que había ese interés, me acuerdo de una muchacha que iba a la iglesia, ¿no? Y era misa de 8, lo peor. Entonces me tocaba levantar súper temprano. Y yo primero fui de monaguillo, ¿no? Like the guys, the helpers, and I was like going with the incienso.
Altar boys.
Altar boys, right?
Altar boys.
Exacto. Entonces, I was, having the incienso and walking around, and every now and then I'd see her and, kind of like wink at her and things like that. Pero then I remember that one time they needed somebody to play guitar.
Okay.
Y entonces es como me empecé a involucrar un poquito con la música y después siempre había una guitarra acústica, como todas las casas latinas, ¿no? Siempre tienen una guitarra acústica, así en la corner of the way in the back, next to the Power Rangers and all of that stuff. And then I remember that every now and then I'd pick it up and just kind of like play with it and things like that, and I little by little started learning a little bit more basic songs, I remember. But I remember that my brother came to the U.S. and then he came back with an album, right? Y el CD que él tenía cambió mi vida. ¿Por qué? Porque it was like those pivoting points. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but like when you kind of hear your calling,
right.
And
llamado, right.
You know what I mean. Y fue de que él llegó de Estados Unidos y me trajo un CD que tenía unos skulls y una cruz, me acuerdo que era de Guns N' Roses, right?
Okay, cool.
Super.
Y después en otro también me había regalado un CD de Bon Jovi.
Okay.
¿Va?
Cool.
And I remember putting those two CDs on, but the first time that I heard like Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer, and then you Give Love a Bad Name.
Right.
Nunca me acuerdo, siempre me acuerdo de ese momento que estaba en el cuarto y esos sonidos, ¿no? Que nunca había yo escuchado, además de solo en la iglesia, algo tranquilito, bacano, perfecto. Entonces, cuando escuché esa energía que salía de los parlantes, it was completely mind-blowing, and I couldn't get enough of that. I was like trying to figure out, where this sounds coming from, what kind of instruments are this and all of that, what is an electric guitar and all of that. Y después me acuerdo con Manna también, desde muy pequeño ya empezamos a ver con MTV los videos de ellos.
Nice.
Y ya después como que me empecé a imaginar mucho desde pequeño cómo era estar en un escenario.
Oh, wow.
Man, brother, yo siempre me acuerdo que tenía una guitarra, una raqueta, and I would like stand in front of the mirror and I would pretend that I'm like on stage and I'm
visualizing yourself
playing it, and and I think that's part of like the beauty about growing up in a place where you can have the freedom to imagine, to play with your imagination,
right?
That's to let it just run it, exactly, to just let it run, and that little by little started feeding more into like it would be really awesome to start playing music.
To do it, yeah.
That's how it started. Really,
It kicked off.
It kicked off with a nice rock music y una muchacha que después,
te inspiró.
Que te inspiró
La
tu letra y
después me rompió el corazón porque empezó a salir con mi hermana.
Ay, qué triste.
Pero no importa, después salí con su hermana.
Y no me digas que...
Kept it in the family, that's what's important.
If I couldn't have her, my brother was gonna date her.
Y no me digas que es tu cuñada ahora. No. Okay.
No, that would be like, oh man, that was awkward.
That was that first love, where you're a little kid, that's awesome.
Right. So
¿Pero qué edad tenías, Sage?
Oh, man, yo tenía esa edad. Ya estaba enamorada de ella, creo. Yo decía que se iba a ser mi esposa. Yo creo que tenía como 6 años, unos 7 años.
Oh my God, estabas súper chico.
Súper chiquito, pero yo empecé ya desde la música, así ya aprendiendo guitarras de los 8 o 9 años.
Oh, perfecto, qué bonito.
Awesome.
Qué bonito.
It's an extension,
y tu instrumento, bueno, antes que nada, que me gustaría hablar cómo nos conocimos nosotros, porque es parte de la historia de por qué estamos aquí en el día de hoy.
Bueno.
Sage, ¿cómo fue que nos conocimos nosotros? Después, ciertos pasos que has tomado, que he admirado yo, pero te cuento yo antes de que, porque yo estaba aquí pensando, ¿cómo nos conocimos con Sage? ¿En qué punto de nuestras vidas? Yo soy creyente, mi Dios sabe que yo siempre digo este refrán: Dios los hace, ellos se juntan. En el camino todos se juntan. Hay personas como la gente mala se junta de una manera u otra y forman un imperio para hacer el mal, igual la gente buena. Y me gusta decir que uno cuando hace conexión, cuando yo conocí a Silvia y dije, wow, sí, inmediatamente fue una conexión que pudimos conversar por tiempo como si nos hubiéramos conocido años.
De vida, sí.
Julio igual, y toda la familia aquí de MCAC Studios y todas las personas que forman parte de mi comunidad. Entonces, se puede decir que tú eres parte de esa comunidad, Sage. Near or far, you know? So, in the far, that's basically how we've learned about one another, ¿no? De lejos. So, ¿cuándo fue de lo que tú te acuerdas?
Man, honestly, like, I remember that there was a talent show.
Okay.
There was a talent show that you were hosting.
Yes.
A long time ago. And, like, you were in an MC, you know, and you were doing really good. And, I remember... and it's so funny, man, how many years have gone by that I get to tell you now in person that I was like, when I heard somebody speak that well, that eloquent, that with that much confidence, it's sort of like it triggers something. It's like, I need to be like that person. So I need to learn. I need to learn how to do that.
Man.
You know,
That's nice.
Se le hizo la cabeza grandota.
No, man, I'm humble, bro, man. I'm humble.
But honestly,
I'm humbled by it, bro.
It's pretty good.
And I remember, like, this is somebody that when I started playing, and I left a relatively successful rock band in English, and not too many people were aware of that. But once I moved to the US, I started playing with a bunch of different people, and that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to have a rock band y tener 5 muchachos, and we're gonna, you know, fight the world and rock it out, and we played everywhere. Pero era más en inglés, you know, and the guy had a possible record deal at that point, and that's when I learned what not to do, you know, because he started to get that ego side of things, you know, and it started to break things apart, and all of a sudden I started seeing it's like, I don't really see myself doing this, you know, and then there's nothing better than writing songs in Spanish que tienen esa pícara, ese sabor,
sentimiento, sabor, combinación de varios.
Exacto, you know, and it's awesome that we can blend it at the same time. But you know, there's nothing that comes more natural to me than say te amo or qué linda que te ves. It's not the same thing in English, you know.
Right.
So, again, I think it goes back to my roots, because I like when people ask me, it's like, yeah, I'm an American. God, I'm 100% proud that I'm an American, but I'm a Hispanic. I'm a first generation, you know, immigrant. You know, so I'm proud of that. You know, but again, that's when I started noticing and separating myself from that side of the rock in English, you know. And I was like, I don't think my calling is here. And then I started writing. I went on my own. I started playing everywhere again, just starting from zero. And then there was this open mic nights in Marietta Square, you know, and it was a really country bar.
Okay.
Like, country.
Yeah, Marietta.
Estaba llenito de, you know, like a lot of older men, and you know, kind of like sipping on their whiskey and smoking their cigars, and there's this 17-year-old Latino who can be in there, right?
Looking like Richie Valens.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine that. So they had to like sneak me in the back so I could play, and then they'd have to ask me to leave because it was 21 and up. But what happened was that when I started playing there was somebody from KSU, from Kennesaw State. He came out to hear me play, and he's like, man, this is really cool. Let me bring some more people. And they started coming, you know, and then before you know it, there was a parade of people. Parecía la rumba, eso allá afuera in Marietta Square. I wish you would have been there, because you would have blown that next place that. So little by little, they started to come and see me play, and then the shifting started happening, because they started bringing women, and you know, Latinas, they never go anywhere without getting dressed up.
Right.
You know,
So
they might be going to the
sight for sore eyes.
Yeah, they might be going to pick up some milk or something.
Walmart, pero they still look like queens.
Man, they're looking fly. They're looking fly. So imagínate, esos señores, they had no chance. They were just blown away. They're like, and there was beautiful women, you know, standing outside having a good time, singing the songs, and then that's when it started.
So you were singing in Spanish?
Singing in Spanish too.
Because I was going to ask you, Marietta Square. Oh, there is like you said, like, oh,
there you go.
Very Caucasian.
Exactly. But then they, you know, started mixing a few things here and there, and then I started playing my own stuff, and then people remember songs that I've written, and that was pretty cool. I started noticing that if you're gonna go somewhere, sing other people's music, you know. But if you needed to really go far, and make a career out of this, you're going to have to start learning things, you know, to write things and promote those things. And they're hard because the easy route is to sing covers.
Right.
And that's what it was going to be. And that's another reason that I left that successful band, because we were getting gigs and we were getting paid, and every now and then they threw in some new stuff, but I was like, no, I don't want to do that. You know, I want to do my own stuff, you know.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's like about evolution. Y mientras más seguimos evolucionando como personas y nos ponemos en situaciones que nos hacen uncomfortable, es en donde vamos a seguir aprendiendo como personas, right? So again, that's how I got into that, the whole live music, and then just started building that up again. And it's crazy because I started playing in the small bar, then they put me outside of Tijuana Joe's, I remember, to like, hey, let me play outside with the congas and stuff like that. And then a few months later, they're like, hey, can you headline this party that we're going to do inside? Can you bring a band? And
Put
things,
together a band.
you know, so things started to happen. So like, I remember at some of those points, you and I crossed paths, and that's when I started breaking some more out of that shell. And you know, I started meeting people along the way, because especially here in Atlanta, it's a very tight community, you know. So, but little by little, started opening doors, and then just recorded an album after that, and then just started snowballing after that.
That's awesome. So how long have you can say que has tenido tu no tu pico, porque tu pico todavía no ha llegado, pero
Thank you for
que has crecido, que tú puedes decir que ha sido años de mucha significance. Like you say, I've been really hardcore. With your style, not the bands, just you with individual artists.
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. Because I think as songwriters, we always think that we're not there yet, or you know, I don't know if it's going the right way, and this is and that, and then something cool happens, and you got to learn how to take a lot of punches in life, you know. And that's another thing that I instill in people is like, anywhere that you're gonna go, or that you're choosing a path, you're gonna have to learn you're gonna have to have a thicker skin. You're gonna have to learn how to adapt to different markets. You know, you have to pick your battles, you know, and then also to be able to take those punches, because I've had way too many no's to keep going, you know. And I'm not saying that I'm the only one. I think that's the beauty. That's it's part of it. That's the beauty of it.
So yeah, every new artist, I'm sorry, because I'm trying to think of, like, because we do serve and work a lot with a lot of beginning, a lot of amateur artists, a lot of artists that are getting their feet wet, so to speak. Conocer un poquito de más de how to grow, and knowing, you know, artists like yourself that have really created a name, an image, a very well-established portfolio, so to speak. And it's just a matter of time. You've had opportunities. Some you choose not to. Some are learning experiences, como es parte de, como en cualquier cosa en la vida. But the important thing is that you're doing something you love. Eso es lo yo pienso que at the end of the day, that's what's important. And for us, your testimony, your life experiences as an artist actually inspires muchos de los que están escuchando. If you're an artist, it's like, and say what you're saying, they don't. You got to keep rolling with the punches. You got to live and learn. It's some basic things that, and as our topic of the day, vivir unas experiencias. And you have to embrace them. Right.
I think that you hit it in the nail, but also too is you have to remember to take note of what worked and what did not work. You know what I mean? That's really important, because if you're just going through motions and just, you know, not really focusing on certain things that happen across the across the days throughout their career, then you're just gonna go around in circles. So I think it's an important thing. If you're gonna go to a show, you're gonna be prepared. You know what I mean? You can't blame it on the DJ didn't have this, or the music sounded like that. None of that. You just got to be prepared to go with it, and then little by little take note of what can you do better. Right? I think that's important. You know, be important. And then also too is just, you got to make sure that you practice your craft. I think cuando tú haces algo que te gusta de corazón, tú aprendes a escuchar muchos de esos comentarios del no
Sí,
te
claro.
salió esto, no vas a tocar aquí, no vas a tocar allá, because let me tell you something. Oh yeah,
Sí.
you know,
Sí, toca
and I think
reinventarse.
exactamente. Y así cuando dijiste de que, you know, when was the peak of this momentum? Because there are some peaks that you think that you're like, oh my goodness,
I'm
like,
there.
like
I'm
the
already
stock
there.
market, you know, it's going well, and all of a sudden Dogecoin happens, and then, you know, Bitcoin and all that, and it's like, phew, to the moon.
Right.
And then something like that happens, you know, and you gotta brace for those downtimes.
Right.
But those downtimes is where you learn how to do things again differently. See, what can you do now? What can you perfect during this time? Because that's what happened to me. I had an entire repertoire of songs to be released that didn't get released because of what happened around the world. And who can prepare for that? Nobody.
Exacto.
And that pandemic changed the landscape of the music business for a lot of people. Like a lot of people are still struggling with touring and those and that. I was supposed to go down to, ya tenía todo preparado para ir a México, Sudamérica, regresar a Estados Unidos y hacer un par de giras en diferentes partes. And when all of a sudden they take that rug from under your feet, you're like,
Exacto.
well, now what do I do?
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to learn how to roll with the punches.
Right.
Like, what can I do to reinvent myself, you know?
¿Y qué vas a hacer? ¿Qué tienes preparado para el resto de este año? Y no sé, ¿qué te ves haciendo, no sé, aquí en 5 años?
I like to, before we go and hear that, I want to point something
Queremos
out.
saber.
Something that's been very significant. I think for him, as well as for me, and in our relationship, you know, that we haven't really been able to evolve. But I think this is where, so this is FYI for you. I don't know if he remembers, but FYI for you.
Okay.
I get an email from a friend of mine saying, "Hey Lex, do you know anyone in your circles that plays the guitar? Manna is coming into town, and they're looking for guitarists to play with them." And then the first person I thought about was Sage.
Yeah.
Remember? And I go, bro, just make that connect. And next thing, I didn't hear anything of it. Never heard again. And later on, I see on social media, he's up there with Manna playing the guitar.
Oh, that's
I thought
pretty
it was the
nice.
awesomest thing in
That's
the
pretty
world.
nice.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
you
blessing.
pursued it. So
Yeah, and you know the thing about it is like, how much time do we have? So I know not to run it over.
No, we're good.
No,
We
we're
got time.
fine. We're good.
So I remember that momentum on how to do things differently and keep evolving as an artist and all of that. I remember that at that point I was already playing my own stuff and trying to stay away from the covers and things like that. And I remember that Gina, she had an event also that she'd mentioned, which was your stuff that was going to happen at this 1150 or Club Europe at that point. It was one of those.
It's probably Club Europe.
Club
or
Europe at that
50,
point.
Either one of those two.
Yeah, no, it was Club Europe. And you know that I remember playing in there, and I remember he came up to me and he mentioned that. He's like, and this is going to blow you guys away. This is how God makes things happen the way that they need to happen. So he tells me about this whole Manna thing, that there's going to be an audition, and, you know, here you go. Here's the contact. You know, hope all goes well. You know, what happens is that the following weekend, I was auditioning for La Voz in Atlanta.
Okay.
So they had this contest of the guy who wins it, or the girl who won it, or who wins it, was going to have an automatic ticket to go to LA and play at La Voz, you know, with all the judges and all that stuff.
That's
you know.
pretty neat.
That's pretty. It's a great stuff. You know, La Voz is some big stuff. And then I ended up placing second on that show, right? Mind you, had I won that place, that was going to be the next weekend where I was going to audition for Manna. You know what I mean? So, like I said, you know, it wasn't meant to be, you know, and something bigger came after that, because at that point, I was already, man, I remember playing. I remember recording my first album, Se llamaba En Tus Ojos, right? I was super proud of my first album, you know. It was like a baby,
that's
you know.
nice.
What
is the name? En Tus Ojos?
En Tus Ojos, right. The whole album, it was recorded in a very economical way. Let's just say that. But it was
con ollas y cucharas.
Yeah. No, but you know, the thing about it is that taught me to work really well with this other guy, and it showed me that I can't do things alone, and that's another piece of advice that I would tell the people here is that if you're gonna go somewhere, go by yourself. But if you really want to go far, you gotta get a team together.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But you gotta do your due diligence and really figure out who you're bringing on board and what are their motives. Can you really have an open conversation about what the expectations are for whomever? Because a lot of the problems that people have is because of expectations, right? Yeah. Wrong expectations from somebody. If you really think about it, if you get angry about something, is because it didn't go a certain way, because you were expecting that to go a certain way. But if you just let it be and let it happen the way that it's supposed to happen, you're gonna live such a free life. You know what I mean? And sometimes, let me tell you something. With if you take that worry away and say, God, look after me on this next phase. I can't control that, right? I can't control the outcome of it, but I can control how I react to that. Perfect. And that's what was happening. I was knocking on doors. Nobody gave me a shot at playing one of my songs on the radio, and I tried it everywhere, right? So then that happened with the Manna thing, right? And
awesome.
I gotta tell you, Lex, the going in there from playing, nice nightclubs and things like that. It's another level to.
Of course.
You gotta hop on stage.
It's euphoric.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But the thing about it is, they had you go in there that same day to audition with other 30 guitarists and stuff like that. And there were some good ones in there. But I went in there and I was like, nobody's gonna take that thing away from me, man. And I remember legit.
Yes,
and they told us, it's like you gotta have all these songs ready to go. We're gonna quiz you on whatever, and you just gotta play it. And I remember, man, I was just playing in my room, and I was imagining being that place, you know what I mean?
That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice.
And let me tell you, they were putting together the stage when we were auditioning. They plugged in this other dude. He was playing. Oh man, este niño tocaba así como Santana. He was really, really good. But I think that's where being technically good and being somebody that wants to be on stage, there's the separation, right? He was a great studio guy, he's perfect,
Yeah, I say this to these guys all the time.
If you want to be, and there's different avenues, if you want to be a studio musician, a singer-songwriter, a publicist, a manager, there's many avenues that you can explore, right? And you just got to find what works best for you. Right. I'm the youngest one. I love the attention. I love the spotlight. Right. When I was little, I started playing. It was like the Sage Show. That's what it was. You know what I mean? And I went in there and I was like, I'm going to show what I love to do. Right. And I was playing in front of the whole management tour. Cool. If I was on stage with other 15,000 people. So then they pulled us up and they're like, okay, we're going to choose Sage. And I was like, what? Just like that. Like, what? No questions asked, no nothing. It's like, get ready, go in the back,
That's awesome. I love it.
You're not going to go outside. You're going to stay behind, and then you're going to call you up. I didn't play with a band until I hopped on stage.
Wow. So you never actually had no
rehearsing, no nothing, none of that.
You played from the heart at that moment.
Yeah. And then that's what happened. And it's like, you go from doing cool stuff to doing some really cool stuff, you know what I mean?
Eso es muy bonito, qué experiencia tan bien.
No, increíble. Y eso es lo que ayuda a social media now, because it's like it's started spreading, and I rode that wave until I couldn't anymore. Right. I was reaching out to all these news alerts, Ecuador me estaba haciendo entrevistas, los periódicos de Perú, they were asking me, it was like, are you half Colombian? I was like, I can, if you want me.
Díganme qué quieren que
Maluma,
sea.
I think Maluma might be a distant cousin. But it was so awesome. And then I started making connections, and then little by little, I met people that were with the band from Miami that were hiring other guest artists to play at award shows in Miami. Okay. Can you come? I remember they called me up and they're like, can you come next Tuesday to go audition for Luis Fonsi? Because he was going to play at Premios Lo Nuestro on Thursday. I'm like, what time do I need to be there on Tuesday?
That's the answer.
That's the thing. That's what you got to do. You figure that stuff out later.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I called out, from work. Sorry, I did. And then I went on Tuesday to do the audition. They're like, okay, perfect. Can you come here on Thursday? I'm like, yes, I can. I took a plane Tuesday evening. I shot up to work on Wednesday. And then I went to work early. I went to work on Wednesday. Went back to the airport Wednesday evening. And they canceled the last flight to go back to Miami. The 11 o'clock flight.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I needed to be back in Miami by rehearsals on Thursday at 10 a.m.
Oh my God, what did you do?
So I did what any responsible man would do. And I rented a car. I called my dad. I said, Dad, I need your help. Can you come with me? And we drove to Miami that evening at 11. I drove the whole night. I fell asleep. My dad almost ran out of gas. Like, because you know that turnpike, that one stretch that there's nothing in there.
The turnpike is
no gas. Exactly, nothing. You better get ready to start pushing your car in there. We barely made it to the gas station. We hopped on again, and I literally made it back. Probably, I'll be lying to you if they were already forming the musicians to start like making their way in there. And I made it. And then that evening I played with Fonzie. Then that Friday I came back for another show here, and then it just started happening like that.
That's
so
awesome hearing that.
Brother, so I always have those memories like that. It's
That's
like
great, man.
more than playing with him because he was a great experience.
Right.
I use that experience to remind myself that if you're gonna do something and you want to do something,
do it all the way.
You're gonna find a way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no laziness. There's no.
Right.
El perro se comió mi homework.
No hay excusa. No hay excusa.
No hay excusa.
Hay Dios, y con Dios todo es posible, man. And I think it's just a matter of encomendándoselo a las manos de Dios. Say, Diosito, let go and let God, as I like to say a lot.
I like that.
Let go and let God, and sometimes you just have to jump. You have to jump all the time without fear. Say, God, I'm jumping. I know you're gonna help me learn how to fly because. Like they say, las águilas. You know how the águilas, the little águilas learn how to fly. You know how
la suelta, la mamá
la suelta. Like they keep them nice and warm in their nest until they cuando bebite después va y le
dicen,
bueno, ya.
sobrevive y vuela, sobrevivió.
Y va y las tira. Y las tira. They throw them from the nest. The mom just goes, boom, go. Y la águilita algunos no llegan, y el águila, la mamá, apenas right before they hit the ground, if they're not flapping their wings, they catch them and bring them up and bring them back to and let them go again. Y ahí sí ya aprendió. That's how you learn.
Y
pero
hay unos que no aprenden.
Y quedan ahí. So like águilas, we should always not be scared to jump, because God will catch us. God es esa águila que nos ayuda a superar eso y el probar nuevas experiencias. En los años que he hecho esto y apoyado talento local, lo que más me ha molestado es que dicen, es que no puedo, es que mamá no puede, o mi pareja no me deja, o déjame preguntar, if this is your love, if this is something que uno siente y es un compromiso con uno mismo, like I always say, you have to learn how to love yourself first God, love yourself, then love others.
Sí.
Pero if you learn that, I guess that recipe, love yourself. Love what you do. You have to be happy with yourself. If you're not, you will not. No one else can make you happy. Nobody.
Sí.
Okay. Entonces mucha gente desafortunadamente se conoce a alguien. Wow, esta mujer es todo para mí. That shouldn't be esta mujer me complementa quién soy yo.
Sí,
This person makes me a better version of myself. I know who I am as a person, but and I think. And not only your significant other, pero las personas que la rodean. Who's your immediate people around you? Do they make you a better version of you, or they, te arrastran, they pull you down?
Yeah. You make a really good point, and I'm sure that you can also sympathize with this. Is sometimes you find even in the whole real estate market, that there's enough business for everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Exacto.
it's a point of just associating, the right people, around you, because, you may not get all the deals, but you know what? Hey, let me pass this person over to you. Or you know what? This person might prefer to speak specifically in Spanish. Or, hey, mira, no entiendo esta persona que tal vez es hindú. Tal vez hay una relación que tú puedes tener mejor aquí, que tal vez le vas a beneficiar al servicio que le estás dando a esa otra persona. Entonces, eso también también estás haciendo un punto que no todo en la vida es el dinero, you know what I mean? Y obviamente es un mal necesario, pero a la misma vez, como tú dices, desde que si tienes que buscar diferentes personas con quien trabajar, eso te va a ayudar muchísimo, you know? And you gotta learn how to walk away. You have to learn how to read people. I think that was a good, maybe you know, is a blessing that I think I'm very good at reading people, you know, and reading energy and reading how they react to certain things, and you can quickly determine that, you know, because if they're putting somebody down as soon as you walk into a room, they're like, well, if this person is saying this stuff to me, what are they saying behind my back? Right?
Yeah.
Entonces, I think it's important to always keep your eyes open.
Always keep your eyes open, your heart open. They say that you should, even in cosas del amor or sentimientos, you know, when you do stuff with passion, people, it's funny, I was doing this workshop the other day that we offered here, and one of the things that really connected with me is like, Lex, you're so passionate when you talk. I'm like, it's just, I can't help it. I have to be
chicken
passionate.
Alfredo sauce recipe. Right
Yes,
now.
it's like, ese es el recipe, los ingredientes necesarios. But that defines me who I am. You know, it's like saying, Sylvie, don't be sweet and kind and just, she radiates this energy that I love having her by my side, because in these shows, it's like, I'm this very hyper energetic person and she just mellows me out. So it's un perfect mesh de
Is that what she's pinching your leg every now and then?
She's like, toca, suavecito de vez en cuando.
So learning new experiences is important. We want to kind of get, you know, kind of share these tips that we've learned on new experiences on how to learn to embrace.
Vamos a compartir 3 tips. Bueno, vamos a compartir más, pero yo les voy a leer 3 de los tips que damos para tener nuevas experiencias. ¿Qué podemos hacer? Yo les sugeriría empezar un nuevo hobby. Los hobbies siempre son cosas que tenemos, que nos gustan. Empezarlos, dejarnos ir, estar dispuestos a nuevas experiencias. Otro consejo sería voluntariar. Voluntariar es súper padre. Conoces nuevas personas, encuentras tus pasiones. A veces es muy bonito dedicar tu tiempo en lo que te apasiona. En este caso, a mí me fascina estar acá, me encanta estar aquí, ser parte de esto. Entonces es buscar lo que te apasiona, compartirlo. Otra cosa que les aconsejo sería ver algo que en algún tiempo estuvimos interesados, en algún tiempo nos gustó. Como en este caso tú, lo que decías, Sage, el conquistar a una chica trajo tu pasión a la música y te envolviste en el canto. Bueno, pues reencontrar o buscar algo que nos llame la atención es un consejo que les doy. Y a ver, Lex, si nos puedes dar otros 2 consejitos más.
I think that for me, this hits the spot with me. It says, pass on your knowledge to others. Lo que es tan importante, Dios nos da dones. We have talents that some have the opportunity to discover and identify what they are. Others do not. But when you do discover and identify qué es ese talento que tenemos, seríamos muy egoístas nosotros solamente mantenerlos y no compartirlo. You know, I've learned through the years that the more you share, the more you grow.
Exacto.
You know, and a lot of people say, no, but tú le estás diciendo a todo el mundo cómo hace las cosas. Hay algo tan perfecto que el modo que Dios es, que el momento que tú estás enseñándole a los demás lo que uno hace, Dios lo protege de una manera u otra para poder uno reinventar lo que uno hace, para hacerlo con más seguridad. Because when you have the original ingredient, you can make un sancocho or stew that's even better.
Yeah.
Once you understand, what's that ingredient? That's how I did it. Yeah. And they just know a little bit, but you know a lot more now. So I think it's sharing that, what you know with others. Obviously, you don't tell them all your trade secrets, pero enough para poder enriquecer la vida de alguien. Y que I always say that, you know, when you help others, you actually are helping yourself in growing to be a better person.
Exacto.
Period.
Exacto. Y eso es lo que es este programa. Compartir luz y empoderar a nuestra comunidad, ¿no?
So, and one thing it says, another one is put music on and have a bit of a dance and sing. I think anyone that's a lover of music, quien no ha bailado, quien no ha cantado, aunque sepa cantar o que no sepa bailar, you make the attempt. And I think when you dance, when you sing, you shouldn't sing or dance for others. You should sing and dance for yourself. And in that, people connect with you in a way that they feel what you feel. The other day, I was visiting an old friend and an amazing vocal coach and teacher maestra, and I'll say Corín Oviedo, and Miss Corín, in one of her class teaching one of our students, one of our artists, I kind of like put her on the spot and say, you know what, you have to sing. So I haven't heard Corín sing in a while because all her concerts I haven't been able to be there because I'm working usually. But in this moment I asked her to sing, and she's singing, and I sat in front of her, and the energy that came out of her when she was singing, and she was just like, she wasn't performing, she was living the song. A mí se me erizó todo. I got
goosebumps.
It was goosebumps, and I think with that we need to really look at how that impacts people's lives in every opportunity we have. So I think
you're hitting that topic really well, and I think it goes back to learning your craft, remembering that we're never perfect at something. If we have the mentality that we know it all, I think what's the point of continuing to push yourself, right? I was watching this documentary from one of my all-time favorite guitarists. His name is Slash from Guns N' Roses, right? Cool. And he's one of the most humble musicians that I've ever met. Like, este muchacho le preguntan de que cómo puedes tocar la guitarra como que si fuera algo, una extensión de tus brazos, y cómo puedes crear esas melodías que son tan naturales para ti, y qué guitarrista tan tremendo que eres. Y él lo que hace es, he doesn't like it. He's like, well, you know, I don't know. I think I'm okay. You know, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. You know, y eso de que tengas la habilidad de controlar ese ego también es tan bonito. Sí. But not only that, though, going back to what you're saying is, you gotta always learn. You gotta keep learning. And I remember that's what happened to me, because after that album, that first album that I did, I knew that there was a lot of good things, but there was a lot of things that I needed to learn, you know, production-wise, vocals, you know, because at that point I was already singing 2-3 hours in different events and this and that. So my voice was taking a toll, right? And I was like, I don't want to end up like a Jose or, you know, and all this drinking and all this somewhat, you know, casually smoking. So that's when I actually stumbled across the Corín, you know, and she was my teacher on the recordings of my second album, you know, and she actually is doing the background vocals in one of the songs called Cuando Hay Amor. And I'll touch on that song in a little bit, but you know, Corín taught me how to sing con cariño, right? And there's one thing to sing properly, because you got to learn how to do that, you know. Of course. Tienes que el estómago y que esto y que el otro, and I'm like, Corín, can I just get on stage and pretend like Neely Vanilli at this point?
Right.
Corín is incredible, you know. So I hope that I get to give her a hug soon. And
yes, she's
Corín,
definitely.
You changed me the way that I sing today.
She does for many, and we love having her part of our. She's a dear friend, an old friend, and she's.
See what I mean about the community?
Exactly, very supportive of our new artists and helping them develop their craft, and I think I'm glad to continue with her again.
You know what? On that contest for La Voz, I remember that Corín prepped me for that as well.
Okay, cool.
And she was one of the first ones in there, and I don't get nervous on stage and stuff, but I remember when your master, like when your yogi is in there kind of looking at you. But she was so into it. Like, she was like, oh, baby, you're doing good. And she was like mouthing the words of the stuff. It was like, she was your coach, you know? She's great, man.
That's pretty nice.
And that's something that as we grow as a family and we continue serving our community, our artistic community, as we know.
These great people keep on adding.
Yeah, I think I keep saying, Dios los hace, ellos se juntan y aquí estamos. Pero seguimos con nuestro programa. We could be here for hours with Sage talking about this, because, you know, we all connect. We're all on the same level of vision and seeing. I want to say we were at a level to be able to understand what is it that we do enough, but also understand that there's so much more to learn as time evolves and as God allows us to grow ourselves. So with that being said,
siempre tenemos un versículo que compartimos acerca del tema que hablamos, y hoy vamos a compartir un versículo de la Biblia que es de Isaías y dice así, versículo 40-31. Pero los que confían en el Señor renuevan sus fuerzas, vuelan como águilas y corren y nunca se cansan, caminan y no se cansan. Y esto viene un poquito, Sage, a hablar de lo que tú, cuando estabas yendo a eso de Luis Fonsi, y lo digo en español porque lo dijiste en inglés, que has tocado con Manna, has tocado con Luis Fonsi, y esto viene a lo que no importa qué pase, tú estás dispuesto a seguir, no importa lo que pase.
Y sigue siendo humilde, no importa con quién te juntas. And I think I congratulate you, brother. You have gone places where many only dream of and never think. And this is the story that keeps going through my head when you say that when you were younger, Guns N' Roses, Manna were two groups that really you were drawn to because of their essence, their rock style. And here you are, the opportunity to be on stage alongside Manna doing what you love to do. Yeah. That was... That's mind-blowing. That's going to be my memory of Sage, you know?
That's awesome.
You know, and to think there's so much more to accomplish, Sage. Yeah. Estar ahí al lado de Luis Fonsi también, poder tocar con él, es algo que uno puede decir, ¿quién se imagina llegar a ese punto? Pero now it's about you. It's about where you are now, where you're going, your vision. Yeah. Quiero traducir el versículo que compartió Silvia en español. Basically, translation del versículo es, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. And that comes from Isaiah 40:31. And the thing is, what we want, the take that we want to share with you, all that are watching, that are here, is to be able to say that there's always opportunities for constant growth. Always, no matter what it is. But the trick is to find something you love. Not someone, something. Because first, love God. And love yourself. Because without having that in line, you will never be able to find love around you. And I think, the people that surround us, either going to love us, lift us up. But if they're those the kind of people that are going to say they love us but pull us down, that's not love. That's a fake love. That's crazy love. That's fake love. Yeah. Pero la cosa es eso. So now the quote, and I think we start wrapping up our show. I would love to speak so much more, pero,
Tenemos solo un tiempo limitado. Podríamos estar más.
It goes by quick when you're having fun.
It does. Well, nuestro quote, pero antes una pregunta que tengo desde un principio. Sage, todas queremos saber, soltero, casado, anoviado, viudo, divorciado,
desilusionado, arrepentido.
¿Cómo está ese estatus?
Yo creo que soy una persona bien...
Lo quise poner en el spot, mira, se puso rojito, se puso rojito.
No, para nada. Yo pienso que...
Se vale no comment.
Se vale no comment.
Yo tengo una novia y llevamos varios años juntos, pero una de las cosas que, a lo menos en esta industria, me ha ayudado a mí es de ser privado en esas cosas, ¿no? Yo creo que una esto suena un poquito mal aquí, pero el que dicen el que come callado come dos veces. Right? So, you gotta...
buffet, brother, buffet.
Ese dicho estuvo bien dicho.
So, yo creo que cuando tienes esa privacidad de tu vida y a lo menos de mi familia y cosas, o sea, se vive una vida muy bien porque las redes sociales pueden ser un arma de doble filo. O sea, tú vives tu mejor vida, you live your best life on social media, but in the inside you might be miserable. And I'd rather be happy with the people that I'm with and the people that I love, and share the pictures of my food with my family, and share the pictures of my girlfriend, and the pictures that what they're accomplishing amongst ourselves, and sometimes it's okay to have those beautiful moments for your family.
I agree. I agree 100%. I'm with you. We see eye to eye in that too, brother, and I think that's part of the growth part. I think that's separating. So. Another question on that: how, if you were to give a new artist a tip on how to, like, if you had 5 minutes to share with them or 3 minutes, what would be your best consejo to give them as they pursue this path?
As they pursue the path, mira, I gotta say, I don't regret you gotta learn how to not have regrets in your career, because everybody's path is going to be different. There's not going to be the same solution or the same method with everybody. Exactly. Y todos vamos a tener diferentes oportunidades que nos llegan, así como cuando te conocí a ti, cuando conocí a muchas personas, cuando ya seguí haciendo giras con los chavos de Manna, o sea, pude conocer otra gente y todo eso. Y lo que más me hizo realizar de que estaba yendo por un buen camino, que al final del día eso importa, es de que tú te sientas feliz contigo mismo, con los proyectos que estás haciendo, y no intentar vender tu alma por unos 15 minutos de fama.
Perfecto.
Right?
Eso es un
Pienso que eso es muy buen
consejo.
consejo. O sea, no vendas tu personalidad, tu integridad, lo que te hace feliz por otras cosas, you know. Hay un límite de lo cual una persona puede hacer, ¿me entiendes? Para continuar una evolución sin cambiar los valores que tú tienes como persona. Por ejemplo, ahora con esta nueva música, yo ahorita estoy entrando en una etapa muy bonita en la cual estamos incorporando ya los nuevos sonidos que son un poquito más de lo nuevo, ¿no? De lo que suena un urban pop, pero mezclarlo todavía con la música latina, con la música que viene basada en la guitarra, lo menos, y no perder esa esencia de lo que soy como cantante, you know, pero continuar evolucionando con sonidos y con frases que son más hasta cierto punto modernas, if you will.
Claro.
Pero no me vas a mí escuchar en una radio, en un video, you know, cantando ciertas cosas que no me identifico, you know, ciertas cosas un poquito más vulgares que I don't identify myself and I don't want to.
Exacto.
Right? Entonces, ese sería un consejo muy importante, que sean ustedes mismos en esta industria, acóplense a lo que está pasando, you know, because believe me, if it was like the old times, I'd have my long hair and I'd be doing 80s music, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Entonces, evolucionen como personas, you know, no se cansen de aprender de personas que saben mucho más que ustedes. You know, y disfruten el camino. Nosotros como familia vivimos una experiencia muy, muy triste, lamentablemente, you know, en estos años, estos 2 años y medio, donde falleció mi mamá.
I'm sorry.
Muchas gracias. Y una de las cosas que aprendí de eso es de que, en verdad, el tiempo no es eterno en esta tierra, right? Entonces, if you know that your time here is limited, why not put the best show that you can?
Amen.
Right? Put the best show that you can. The fact that we wake up in the morning, we already won the lotto.
We were at a step ahead.
You won the lotto, porque ahora es en donde viene el primer día. Cada 7 de la mañana, levántate con esa idea de que tienes una nueva oportunidad, otras 24 horas para ser alguien mejor de lo que fuiste el día anterior.
That's right.
And then, what can you learn? What can you do next? You know what I mean? So, God bless, you know, es a cada día. Yo creo que soy de esas personas, me considero muy an eternal optimist. Cuando me dicen eso, yo siempre voy a ser así, porque cuando me pasa algo malo, yo siempre lo veo como una experiencia muy bonita, o como, how is this glass, half full or half empty? And you know what, God bless, if I'm able to wake up in the morning, my glass is always half full. You know what I mean?
Add another one to your list. Life's not a struggle, it's a wiggle.
There you go. I like that.
Always think about that too, because
I like that.
Life's gonna hit you, and I think, and God knows what He's doing when He presents us situations that knock us down. And He said, it's not for us to stay down. It's for us. He knows and He believes in us on what we can do to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Now, the enemy will try to seguir haciendo zancadillas, will push us down to keep us from getting up.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to say, you know what? I'm not going to let you take over today. It's not your day. This is my day. And I'm going to keep pushing no matter how much pain I got. And we're going to make it happen. So anyway, let's.
Bueno, pues mira, se nos fue este programa. Vamos a despedir este programa, pero queremos escuchar a Sage cantar. Yo quiero escucharlo cantar. Yo ya escuché una de tus canciones, que es Bésame. Me pareció algo muy romántico, me pareció muy lindo. Viene lo que decías, el pop, esa parte latina, me encantó.
Gracias.
Son varias canciones que vi. ¿Dónde te podemos ver? Dinos tus redes sociales, cuándo viene el siguiente disco, qué estás haciendo, o sea, dinos eso,
y cerramos.
Y
se me va. Porque tengo que regresar al estudio también. Ahorita estamos, bueno, en esencia estamos ahorita escribiendo nuevos temas con unos amigos de corazón que, wow, son increíbles productores que se llaman La Trinidad, que están en Perú y en Miami. Y formamos un equipo muy, muy bacano, como decimos en Ecuador, y estamos escribiendo nuevas canciones en las cuales nos basamos mucho en destacar mi habilidad como guitarrista en una música moderna con el pop urbano.
Cool.
So, estamos incorporando eso, estamos ya trabajando en los primeros temas y mientras tanto estoy sacando nuevos covers, también un poquito de eso, en canciones que me han fascinado, y lo que estoy haciendo de diferente es que lo saco en 3 fases. Primero saco la instrumental, la voz con la música, y después la versión a capela. Que eso me gusta hacer porque la gente
they know what you can do.
Yeah,
sí,
dicen,
claro.
wow, este muchacho como que no
que
le
sí canta.
que sí
Que sí canta. No está todo
autotune. Claro, entonces está muy bonito y me pueden buscar como Sage Music en todas las plataformas, igual en todas las tiendas digitales también está como Sage Music. Y bueno, más de 200,000 personas que nos están siguiendo, que siguen esa idea que tengo yo. Se les agradece muchísimo, así que vengan y digan buenas noches por las redes también.
Claro que sí, eso haremos. Y bueno, ¿qué canción nos vas a presentar? ¿Nos vamos a tener? ¿Quieres dar tu vitamina buena o nos vamos a ir?
La vitamina buena. People always ask about la vitamina
buena. Vamos con la vitamina buena. Toma un minutito.
It's seconds, not even. Okay. So it is a reflection that we let everyone take from the show, aside from everything else that they could gather. So anyway, la vitamina one of today, ladies and gentlemen, is the purpose of life. After all, is to live it, to taste, experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experiences. Live your life, live new experiences, because you might surprise yourself how much you will fall in love with these opportunities.
Yeah.
So,
pretty nice.
God bless you all. It's a pleasure to be with you once again. Silvia, Sage, thank you, brother, for being here, brother. God bless you all. Para los que están allá, escuchando, siguiéndonos, we are Ritmos Y Soul, right here live from the MCAC studios, Ritmo Room. And we'll see you. Let's listen to Sage's music. Y los dejamos con esto.
Los dejamos con esto. Gracias por venir.
Claro, gracias.
Thank you, brother.
Gracias.
A ver si le subes un poquito de esa. Nice. Yeah. Cuenta que cuando te besan, cierras los ojos y abres el corazón. Inexplicable sensación, vuela la imaginación. El tiempo se para, nada se compara. Dicen que como volar no puedes respirar y te lleva hasta el cielo. Tengo la curiosidad de qué podía pasar si pruebo de tus besos. A ver si ve. Bésame, bésame. Quiero probarte. Bésame, bésame. Después de besarte, no voy a soltarte. Yeah, esa boca es como bocas, golpea mi sentido como roca. Cuando te beso es una vaina loca. Tu boca conmigo no se equivoca. El trato que tú me beses y que si te gusta repitamos varias veces. Que todo lo beso que te dé me lo regrese. Tu boca me pertenece. El trato que tú me beses y que si te gusta repitamos varias veces. Que todo lo beso que te dé me lo regrese. Tu boca me pertenece. Bésame, bésame. Oh, quiero probarte. Bésame, bésame. Después de besarte, no voy a soltarte. Déjame besarte, no voy a soltarte. Contigo yo quiero quedarme, sin miedo yo voy a abrazarte. Déjame besarte, no voy a soltarte. Entonces bésame, sin miedo acércate. Hasta ahí. Bésame, bésame. quiero probarte. Bésame, bésame. Después de besarte, no voy a soltarte. Ahí estuvo. Gracias.
Wow, bravo, me encantó.
Muchas gracias.
Súper. Muchas gracias por venir y compartir.
Claro.
Beautiful, brother. Good job,
Thank you,
man.
guys.
Awesome, man. That was fun.